Join us in sharing intriguing stories from our museum's collections and the Highline Times with host Roger Price on 106.5 Low Power FM, One America Voice. You can find us online too, www.kqwzradio.org. Join us in sharing intriguing stories from our museum's collections.
Good afternoon. I'm Roger Price, and I'm a volunteer here at the Highline Heritage Museum. And this afternoon, I'm going to talk about the bowling alleys that were in Burien back in the day that are no longer around, but some of the buildings still exist. So. I believe the very first bowling alley in Burien was about 1948, and it was up on Ambaum and about 150th. There's a building there on the east side of the street, and the owner of the building was John Cabela, and he owned a auto shop next door also, and he owned the building, and then the WJ and also Frank McEachran and Fred von Hoffen were the first owners of the business there at the bowling alley. And it had 8 lanes, a snack bar, and the formal opening was actually January 2nd, 1949, and it remained in business for I think it was about 15 years, and in the process during that time several more bowling alleys opened up in the south end in Burien, and then over on Highway 99. So the Highline Bowl, it opened up and down on Ambaum, and that was in July of 1958, and it was 24 lanes, so it was quite a bit bigger and a lot more modern than the old Burien bowling alley on Ambaum. But that was just how it was back then. So then also right around the same time as Highline opened, we had Olympic Bowl over on Des Moines Way, and about 100 and that must have been about 150th in Des Moines Way, but it was next to the grocery store there, Cushing's grocery. It was several things. I think Ginzali's it was a grocery store for them, and also at that time. So there was that was in there, but and then just prior to Highline and Olympic, Lewis and Clark opened up a brand new facility out on the highway just off of 160th and Highway 99. And it had a large theater there, very large, very nice, state of the art at that time. And then it also had they opened the bowling alley there that had 32 lanes, and I think there was about 3 pool tables also there on the east end of it. But that was a large facility, and that I believe that opened in 1956. So we had a lot of bowling alleys in the area there for a while bowling was very popular. So I used to bowl probably most of the time. If I wasn't really a great bowler, but I did bowl at Highline lanes down on Ambaum now and then.
And I'm Daniel. I'm also a volunteer at the Highland Heritage Museum. So I'm just going to be asking Roger a couple of questions. So was that one also your favorite bowling alley, or is that just the one that you
I believe it was. I think the Highline one was, I felt more at home at, because it was only about 6 blocks away from where I lived growing up in Burien, so I could run down there. It was right very comfortable in there. It had a nice snack bar, and lanes were all excellent. So I bowled there several times over the years. I even was in a bowling league there in probably around 1970, 71. So our sponsor at the time happened to be the Hobnobber Tavern. So it was a kind of I don't know if it was really a beer league, but it was just it was a lot of fun.
Oh, nice. Well, so what was your bowling average on that?
Oh boy, my bowling app. It was probably, I'm guessing my average was I just have to say it's probably around 150. Maybe I wasn't that good of a bowler, and I didn't bowl enough to really improve much either over the time I spent bowling. So, but I had a lot of fun. Every once in a while, you'd get a good game going there, and maybe you'd get up to around 180 or something like that. But cracking 200 for me was pretty rare. So, but I did enjoy it, and it was good times. And I also went bowled a few times at the Olympic bowling alley over on Des Moines Way. I wasn't in a league over there, so I didn't wasn't there regularly, but that was also a nice place to bowl too.
Nice. So did you go to all four of them?
Yeah, I think over time, I don't remember if I ever actually bowled at the first Burian bowling alley because it was up on Ambom there that I was mentioning, but yeah, that was well, I believe there was about oh 8 lanes there at the time, and I bowled there. No, I don't actually think I did bowl there, so I'm gonna have to retract that and say that. But I was in there a few times. I believe actually now you can. It's maybe an antique furniture store, but I've heard that the lanes are still there, but they're underneath some other flooring or something like that. But I don't think I ever bowled at that bowling alley. But the other three, Lewis and Clark, also in Olympic and Highline, I bowled at. Lewis and Clark was really spacious, but it was more of a go there once every maybe once or twice a year out there because I wasn't that close, so I usually spent most of my time bowling at Highline.
And so what other things could you do at the bowling alley? I think you mentioned like the Lewis and Clark one had a theater as well.
Yes, I did. It was a really a nice big theater. It was had a lot, all the first great films that came out. I remember going there and I believe it was around 68 or 9. I think it was Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid was there, and they had it was very full. I mean, that was a large capacity theater, and it had load seats in the back. I think there was also some areas there where you could bring the kids if your kids a nursery type of situation for young kids, and the parents could watch the movie, and they could also have their kids taken care of at the same time. So it worked out pretty. And the big concession stand and out in the front lobby there. And then they also had some murals on the walls. I think it was somewhere of the expedition that Lewis and Clark coming out to the northwest were these were pretty cool murals on the walls there. So I can remember some of that. It's a little bit vague, but I can still kind of place it there.
Nice. So were there any particular movies you remember seeing at the theater? Like you said Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Any others?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think possibly, yeah, probably saw Steve McQueen and Bullet. Yeah, that was a good movie back in those times. Uh, Also back in those days, we had this nice theater there at Lewis and Clark, and then you could also go downtown. There were quite a few movie theaters in downtown Seattle back in those days. I can remember going to Coliseum, and they had I believe it was the Blue Mouse, Fifth Avenue. There was the Town, and I think there was also one called the Uptown Theater. So there was quite a few different movie houses downtown, but for the south end, uh, the Lewis and Clark, and then Burien also had some good, had a nice movie theater too that was built around 1956, and it was on 153rd. It replaced the old Dan Burien Theater, which was I don't remember it. I believe my brother and sister might have gone there to see a movie, but I don't remember. I was only about 5 years old then, so I'm not. I don't remember going in there. So, but yeah, and then there was a Koi Theater up on First Avenue, which was another good spot for movie theaters. And the Koi family, they had also had a movie theater in White Center, which was their first theater. And then they had also different theaters and different. They used to pop popcorn there in. Oops, I gotta hang up here. I don't know what's happened, but oh,
Technical difficulties, folks.
yeah. Oh, there we go. So anyway, yeah. So back to the Koi Theater. I know they used to pop popcorn at the White Center location, and then they would bag it up in big bags, and then they would bring it over to the First Avenue. Uh, Theater and serve popcorn there. So it was good fun times.
Yeah. Nice. So, what was the most popular bowling alley you would say? Like,
Oh, I gotta think that well, it's hard to say because they bowling alleys depended so much on leagues. There was Saturdays was generally for youngsters to get bowling leagues, and but then like weekdays and at night they had many of the adults had bowling leagues. And so I think that probably because there were so many lanes out at Lewis and Clark, they might have been the most popular of all the different bowling alleys that were around here. Highline certainly did well for a number of years, as did the Olympic Bowl. I know I never I never knew the person, but I heard that Frank Cole, I did not know him, but he was kind of the owner operator of the Olympic Bowl. And there's several people that have interviewed him over the years, but he's long past now. But so, yeah, I got to think that all three of those were were very popular. And bowling during back in the 50s, 60s, 70s was a very popular sport. Plus, it was a winter time when it was raining, you could get inside, nice warm bowling alley and have a lot of fun. So, and then also, like I mentioned earlier, that out at Lewis and Clark on the east end of the building there where the bowling alley was, they had I think three or four pool tables there, and I used to go out there now and then and shoot some pool and kind of improve my pool game, but generally because that pool was also another popular recreation back then too. So it was good times.
I can,
Then after a while, bowling kind of lost its enthusiasm, so they struggled for many years, and I wouldn't place one particular thing on the reason why they didn't do so well. I guess I'm not sure if it was maybe the professional sports came to Seattle and there were the Sonics and the Seahawks and the Mariners. Maybe that took a little bit away from people going to bowling alleys and doing their getting recreation there. I'm not sure, but that could have played into it.
Yeah, well, people move on things, but so like I'm guessing all these the alleys are bowling alleys are gone.
Yes, they are. I think Highline bowling that closed in 2021. I'm not sure about Olympic Bowl. I believe it closed maybe back in it was probably about when the expansion of the third runway went in, so it might have been early 2000. I'm not sure. So yeah, they kind of went out of business there. And I believe Highline now is owned by the bowling alley, is owned by the school district, and they still have a few lanes there. So I think they have some maybe possibly PE classes there where the kids can bowl. But it's still like it's a good use of the building, and they needed the extra room anyway for administration. So
But you might not have to go all the way down to South Center to knock down some pins then, huh?
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know where there's. I believe there's a Roxbury Lane still around. I never did. White Center had a bowling alley too, besides Roxbury. I don't remember ever bowling there. And also West Seattle, there was a bowling alley. I believe it was over possibly about where the Trader Joe's is now in West Seattle. I think that was where the old location of the bowling alley was. And I did bowl there one season uh, back in the late '70s. It was kind of a bowling league for just businesses, general businesses, and we got a sponsor and bowled there and have good time.
Great. Right. Well, is there anything else you want to tell us about the bowling alleys today?
Well, I think that kind of wraps it up. I enjoyed bowling. It was fun. And you always were I never did actually own my own bowling ball. A lot of people did, and whether I guess it probably improved their game. I'm not quite sure, but I just kind of borrowed one that was on the rack there at the bowling alley, and it still had good enough fun. But like I say, I didn't bowl enough to really be a good bowler, but I had fun anyway.
Well, that's all that really matters.
Yeah, so it was good times back then. It's too bad that I don't know if it will ever come back. Maybe it was the cost got too much for it, or I'm not sure, but we will see.
Yeah. Well, hopefully there'll be some more alleys sometime in the
Yeah,
future.
yeah. Speaking of you know, things that people used to do back then, I know that the building here where the museum is now located, it was started out as a trade well. Well, it was even a different grocery store, but Tradewell was here for many years, and then when Tradewell moved down to where the grocery outlet is now, Bartell's was in here from about 1956 till I believe uh, it was I don't know 50 around 66 they left Burien for a while, and this was actually a putt golf. Uh, well, anyway, that's for another time. So I'll bring up the putt golf again in another time. So
Sounds
anyway,
good.
I was gonna say we'll move on and do another story next time.
Thank you guys for tuning in.